The Russian ambassador to the UK is Andrei Kelin, and he joins me live this afternoon on LBC. Ambassador, thank you for being there for us. Afternoon to you.
Thank you for inviting me.
When we last spoke in March, you told me then that political relations with the UK were, to use your words, nearly dead. Are they now finished?
Well, this type of relations has never been finished. There are diplomatic relations between the country, if not two countries are at war. I don't believe that we are at war with the United Kingdom.
What keeps those relations alive then?
We continue the diplomatic liaison because it is considered by authorities of both countries as needed.
When was the last time you had contact with the British government?
A couple of weeks ago, I guess.
And what was said?
It is between me and the foreign ministry.
Have you been spoken to by the Secretary of State, the Foreign Secretary, or junior ministers?
No. That was just, I guess, end of February, something like that. Last time.
And give us the broad nature of those conversations. What's the tone of them like?
How would I say? It is in the recent times I hear more protests that in extreme forms. They sometimes are arrogant, but we do not maintain a normal dialogue, I would say, because it is no interest, not much of an interest, I will say, to hear what our arguments, and this has now become a habit of, I'm afraid, here in London, because it is one-sided, mainly to hear what in Kyiv they're saying about the conflict in Ukraine, not to listen, in fact, to realities. Mainly it is a wishful thinking, I'm afraid, what's going on here.
We'll come to those realities in just a moment. You'll be aware that the National Security Advisor, Stephen Lovegrove, gave a speech the other day saying that a lack of communication between the government here and Russia could escalate war further. Do you think that's true?
You know, I have read what Steve Lovegrove has said entirely, and it is only a piece of what you have cited over here. Mr. Lovegrove has suggested a number of measures that could be in place just to keep a rise of tensions. One of them it is the necessity of communication, and there are some other principles which has suggested at least 5, and I think most of them are not out of place. One should think about it, about if, like in the future, have a stable security system.
So there can be some reassurance to my listeners, particularly, that there is a back-channeling going on between the UK and Russia, that it would be sufficient to explain for either side, both sides, to understand the positions of one another so as to avoid escalation, possibly to the point of a nuclear exchange?
I don't think that we have a dialogue for quite a long time since there is, especially between the governments. But it is for the first time I have noticed that someone, at least someone, and it is very important that this is National Security Advisor, is thinking about the future.
So how would you describe, what word would you describe then the conversations that you are having, if not a dialogue?
No, that is a necessary communication of one government to the other, because it is also British ambassador has been several times summoned to the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, and communication is going by him as well as for me. It is the same, and communication from British government is going via their ambassadors. I'm
just trying to work out what it is you're discussing. It sounds from your description that the British government rings you up, shouts at you, and puts the phone down, but that can't be the extent of it.
It is simplification.
So what do you say back?
Excuse me?
What do you say back to them?
Well, I think what I know. I do not say what I do not know. It is a fact of life, it is.
The favourite to be the next Prime Minister, Liz Truss, has suggested that she would meet and speak to President Putin. Do you think he would accept that invitation?
As far as I understand, President Putin is not scared to talk to anyone. He is an experienced politician and he knows his reasoning. I will be interested to see, to look at this conversation, of course.
Do you think it's about time that the British Prime Minister did meet with President Putin?
I do not know. We have, as a Prime Minister, we have now Mr. Johnson, and we have an interesting contest between two pretenders to be the next Prime Minister. We have no no choice in it.
What's your view of Liz Truss?
No. Let me abstain from this. I'm here the ambassador. I'm not supposed to comment internal political life of the United Kingdom.
You have no view of her at all?
I have, but I will keep it to myself.
Because you did have a view of her when she was Foreign Secretary, or she is Foreign Secretary now.
What I was a bit surprised is that neither while she was in Moscow nor in only one of our conversation, she did not want to listen to the argument.
Do you think that position has changed at all, given that she wants to meet with President Putin?
I didn't get what was the question about.
Do you think her position on hearing the arguments has changed? If she wants to meet with President Putin, she said she would sit and speak to him.
This is a problem, of course. If she would like just to go while meeting President Putin, just speak it out and not listening to the others, to what is happening in the world, it is called negotiations. So it makes no sense.
Well, I'm very keen then to listen to your answer about gas supply to Europe. Will Russia turn off gas supply to Europe?
There is no intention to do that. It is a difficult, of course, matter. I often hear that Russia uses gas as a weapon. It has been said by European Union or politicians here, but at the same time, they are limiting our capability. European Union is limiting our capabilities to gas to Europe. Just listen to it. It is, first of all, Poland has refused to take gas via its territory because it sanctioned the pipe territory. Ukraine has closed one of two entries into it, and of course it has been reduced by twice. Now the issue of the turbines, of course, the turbines are under sanctions. One turbine is coming back, but the other turbine also needs the servicing, and we are not certain what's going to happen.
Well, the Nord Stream 1 pipe, and I just ask, Ambassador, if you don't mind, just moving your microphone a little bit closer to your mouth, because we struggle to hear some of your answers, and this is obviously incredibly important. The Nord Stream 1 pipeline was down for maintenance. When it came back on, a turbine wasn't turned on with it. Capacity on Nord Stream 1 has dropped by a fifth. Under what circumstances would Russia increase supply?
Well, I'm not a big specialist in it. It is gas is a difficult topic, but what I have said is a limitation of Russian capacities to pipe gas to Europe has been limited by Europeans themselves, by Poland, by Ukraine, by Germany, not to put into action Stream 2.
Well, it's been limited in part because Europe wants to move away from Russian gas, partly because they don't want to be throttled by Russia for their energy supply, which is what Russia is doing, isn't it? This reduction in gas supply is payback for sanctions, no?
It is also the reason why we are not very enthusiastic about increasing piping and pipe gas production to Europe. If there is a strong intention to disbarrage from Russian gas, then how we can trust that, and how we can be encouraged to increase it and to do more than we can.
So I'll come back to the question then, under what circumstances would Russia increase supply to guarantee Europe gas supply this winter?
I have no idea. It is that first we should overcome these difficulties with the turbines, because still first turbine is out of place and the other is coming to the time when it should be serviced. And there should be a dialogue about this, not just a dialogue by the newspapers, but a dialogue of normal people.
But you can't, clearly then, Russia cannot guarantee that Europe will have enough gas to get through this winter without rationing it.
I simply do not know.
Why did Russia initially deny that it was responsible for the bombing of the port of Odessa on Saturday and then confirm that they were responsible for it on Sunday?
Look, port of Odessa is enormously big, and there is a civilian part of a port and the military part of this port. Civilian part of this port, this is where cereal and grain and actually ships are standing. And the military part of this port, yes, it has been bombed, of course, and one Ukrainian ship has been downed, and Harpoon rockets, because they are dangerous, has been also hit.
But if that's the case, why did Russia initially say it wasn't responsible one day and then change its story the next?
Well, it is the question to our Ministry of Defense.
But that was a mistake, wasn't it?
I do not know.
Well, it seems odd to not take accountability for it once and then to change the story 24 hours later. Does the left hand know what the right hand's doing here?
is it not logical what I'm saying? Because there is a military targets in this port, as I have said, because port is enormously big, and civilian targets, and we do not target civilians. Our militaries are targeting military infrastructure all across Ukraine.
Yes, I've heard this before. You said it to me last time that Russian soldiers do not deliberately target Ukrainian civilians. That's still the position, is it?
Yes, of course.
What then of the myriad number of examples of that happening? The CCTV footage of Russian soldiers shooting and killing unarmed Ukrainian security guards?
No, don't believe everything what has been said in Kiev. There are lots of fakes that are going on around. And if we are speaking about military crimes, military crimes has been counted for 8 years in Donbass, and they were committing daily.
What about the Russian soldier, Sergeant Vadim Shishimarin, who was sentenced to life in prison for killing an unarmed Ukrainian civilian, a war crime? He admitted to it. Was he lying?
What I have heard that the sentence has been changed. Instead of the life time in prison, he's now got 15 years.
But he admitted to it, didn't he?
He can. I'm not aware of every detail of what has been done in over the year.
Was he lying?
Why are you asking me about him? It's
because he completely undermines the suggestion that Russian soldiers have not been deliberately targeting civilians. They have, haven't they?
Well, I can say that 2 British mercenaries that has been judged in Donbass, they have admitted that they committed military crimes.
Yes, on those, there's a British man called Sean Pinner, who I believe Russia is holding. He was fighting in Ukraine. He's been sentenced to death in a trial in Donetsk. I want to put a message from his family to you, because they've been in touch and they want you to hear what they have to say about their son. They say this: Mr. Ambassador, we've not heard from Sean for over 9 weeks and are very worried about his health and well-being. Can you use your influence to allow Sean to phone home at the very least, please? This is very important to us at such a difficult time. Or could we allow the International Committee of the Red Cross to be allowed access to Sean? They're an independent organisation, not politically motivated. We're just concerned about our boy and want to ensure he is safe and well.
The message has been taken. It will. I will try to do my best to deliver it. But I can assure you that Red Cross is working over there constantly. They have the presence in place, and the best way to act if parents of this guy would like to help him, assistance of Red Cross is absolutely necessary, and other humanitarian organizations as well.
You will look at it. You will try and get a message.
And besides, this is not my authority over there, and because there is a channel between Kiev authorities and Donetsk people over here. So the best is to use this channel.
You're the Russian ambassador in the UK.
But I'm not the ambassador in Donetsk at all. They have their own ambassadors in Russia. This is a separate state.
You have no power in this.
But we have means to deliver this type of messages, and we are delivering them. What is going to happen next, as I have said already many times, it is best to address where he sits.
Who bombed the Olenvik prison where Ukrainian prisoners of war were being held?
Well, this is easy. It is. It has been the use of what is called HIMARS. Yes, actually, the remnants of the missile HIMARS has been found in place over there.
So
we do not have HIMARS.
It wasn't the Russians bombing a site with Ukrainian prisoners of war.
It is absolutely silly, illogical and torn out of reality that we are going to bomb Ukrainian prisoners.
The problem is, Mr. Ambassador, the problem is, why should anyone believe a word you say?
And why should we believe Kiev British?
Why should you believe the British?
Why do we? Because British authorities are simply repeating what they are saying in Kiev.
But in answer to the question of the deliberate targeting of Ukrainian civilians, you have a Russian soldier admitting to it. You're saying that he what? Didn't admit to it, faked it, lied about it?
No, I'm not. I cannot answer about any individual case which I am not aware. Yes, I heard and I have seen over television that the trial has been done, but in Kiev on this Russian soldier. Is Russian really, and if he is a soldier, I simply do not know.
You will be aware that this country has taken in quite a few Ukrainian refugees. My children's school has a number of Ukrainian refugee children in it, some of whom have described watching the rape of their own family members by Russian soldiers. They've described Russian snipers shooting and killing their neighbours as they fled parts of the area that they lived in to get out of the country. Are those 8-year-olds lying as well?
I think that it is better to teach something else about, and I think the schools are for a different thing than doing the type of atrocities that you are discussing right now. If you have perhaps anything else to discuss, I'm prepared to do that.
Well, I do. I have lots of things we could talk to you about, but I do just want to absolutely nail this suggestion that Russian soldiers are not deliberately targeting Ukrainian civilians, because the truth is they are.
If you know the ultimate truth, then it is not much
I don't know why you're
things
laughing,
to
though,
discuss
Mr.
for us.
Ambassador. There are people in this country, probably not far from where your embassy is now, who have fled Ukraine because of Russian bombs, bullets, and soldiers.
You threaten me.
I'm not threatening you with anything. I'm saying it is a fact. There are Ukrainian refugees in this country who have left because of the war that has seen Ukrainian civilians killed.
No, I can tell you that we have about 2,700,000 Ukrainians who have fled to Russia, also from this war. And so what?
From the east of Ukraine, from the Donbass, they've left to go to Russia.
No, many of them has gone from the north of Ukraine, from Kharkov and from Sumy, from Chernihiv for the adjacent areas.
We're slightly struggling with your line, which is a bit of a shame because we can't quite pick up every word that you're saying. I think it's your microphone again. Let me just ask you this finally. When did you learn that the then Foreign Secretary Boris Johnson had travelled to Italy to meet with the known KGB agent Alexander Lebedev without any officials present?
It's an old story. Actually, I have nothing to tell about it. I heard something like that. Mostly, I have read it in your newspaper, but it is not very interesting for me.
Do you know any of the detail of what might have occurred at the villa in Italy that Boris Johnson
not at
went to?
all. No, not at all.
Is it normal practice for known KGB agents with close links to Putin to meet with British foreign secretaries without any officials present?
Probably it is a normal practice for Boris Johnson to fly to Italy. Why not?
What's your message to Prime Minister Boris Johnson? He's on his way out. Do you have a message to him?
I don't have any.
Do you think he's been a good Prime Minister?
It should be a judgment by British people here, by his party, and not mine.
Good to speak to you. Thank you very much indeed for your time.